And man, like Michael Jordan was the most complete basketball player that's ever lived. Complete. Like Kareem was just as effective. Certain people could be, LeBron at times could be just as effective. But the most complete basketball player that ever lived is Michael Jordan. Completely.
Went for Michael. I wouldn't make millions of dollars from Nike a year.
Right.
LeBron, Kobe wouldn't make millions of dollars from Nike a year. If it wasn't for Michael Jordan, we all wouldn't have commercials. People act like athletes always did commercials. No. Number one, none of us had a shoe deal until Michael. None of us shot commercials until...
Welcome back, where the filters come off and the legends do the talking. Today, we're ripping open the debate that just refuses to die, Michael Jordan versus LeBron James. But let's be clear, this isn't barbershop chatter or Twitter noise. We're talking straight from the mouths of people who lived it, Hall of Famers, analysts, and guys who had to guard Jordan when survival meant not getting embarrassed on national TV. That we got 12 unfiltered quotes that slice right through the myths. And by the time we're done, one thing's going to be crystal clear. This debate has already been decided. Spoiler alert, it ain't in LeBron's favor. So strap in. No watered-down takes, no participation trophies, just the raw, unfiltered truth. Stephen A. Smith kicks it off like only he can. He doesn't sugarcoat it. He doesn't hedge. He drops the receipts. Jordan, 6 for 6 in the finals. 6 finals MVPs, 10 scoring titles. 9 all-defensive first teams. LeBron, legendary, no doubt, but never hit that stratosphere. Stephen A. reminds everyone, Jordan didn't just win. He dominated. He ripped souls out of bodies on the biggest stage every single time. LeBron's game? Elite. Historic. But the finals, that's where immortality is decided. And Jordan's record isn't just a stat, it's a monument. A flawless crown. No collapses. No excuses. Just ruthless consistency. Then Stephen A. makes a cut even deeper. He draws a line between respect and fear. LeBron has always been respected. Jordan, he was feared. Teams didn't just draw up defensive schemes for him. They lost sleep over him. Coaches rewrote game plans in panic. Players admitted they knew the game was over before it even started. That's not admiration. That's psychological warfare, and that's what Stephen A. hammers. Legacy isn't just about the numbers. It's about the aura. LeBron's got media hype. Jordan had the presence. The kind that destroyed teams before the ball even bounced. Then comes Charles Barkley, keeping it 100 away only Chuck can. He doesn't talk stats. He talks impact. Michael Jordan. Barkley says, change the business of basketball. Before MJ, endorsements were scraps. After MJ, it was a gold rush. Nike, Gatorade, global branding. Jordan built the empire every athlete today cashes in on. LeBron's empire is impressive, yes. But Barkley makes it plain. LeBron's empire exists because Jordan laid the foundation. Jordan didn't just dominate the game. He owned the culture. The sneakers, the commercials, the worldwide pull. Jordan turned basketball into global dominance.
For Michael, I wouldn't make millions of dollars from Nike a year.
Right.
LeBron, Kobe wouldn't make millions of dollars from Nike a year. If it wasn't for Michael Jordan, we all wouldn't have commercials. People act like athletes always did commercials. No. Number one, none of us had a shoe deal until Michael. None of us shot commercials until...
Now here's where it gets downright spicy. Charles Barkley, never one to bite his tongue, drops a story that changes how you look at the balance of power in the NBA. We all know about the Dream Team, 1992, Barcelona. The most stacked roster ever assembled in sports history. Magic, Bird, Malone, Stockton, Ewing, Pippen, Barkley himself, and of course, Michael Jordan. But here's the part most casual fans don't realize. There was one glaring omission, a name that should have been automatic. A Hall of Fame point guard, an NBA champion, one of the fiercest competitors of that entire era, Isaiah Thomas. On paper, there's no debate. Isaiah should have been there. SOY wasn't he? Barkley spills it. Behind the scenes, Jordan made his stance crystal clear. If Isaiah's on the team, I'm not playing. And what happened next tells you everything you need to know about MJ's sway. The committee didn't argue. They didn't push back. They didn't even hesitate. Isaiah Thomas, one of the greatest ever dribble of basketball, was erased from the most legendary roster in history. That's not politics. That's not team fit. That's raw, unfiltered power. Jordan said no, and the league said yes. So, now, stop and think about that for a second. What other player in history could flex like that? Not just influence a roster spot, but completely blacklist another superstar? LeBron couldn't pull that. Kobe couldn't pull that. Magic and Bird, as great as they were, never had that kind of veto power. None. Zero. Because here's the truth. Jordan wasn't just a face of basketball. He was basketball. When he spoke, people listened. When he drew a line in the sand, even legends stayed on their side. That's not just fame. That's command. And Barkley's story proves something deeper. This wasn't about ego. This was about legacy. Jordan's aura was so massive, so untouchable, that even a Hall of Famer like Isaiah couldn't share the same stage if MJ didn't allow it. Jordan didn't just dominate the court. He dominated the culture. He dominated the league offices. He dominated the decisions. He wasn't a participant in basketball history. He was a gatekeeper, the keeper of the keys, the one man whose presence dictated who could sit at the table and who couldn't. That's not influence. That's empire.
Speak for the other guys, but they never asked me personally about Isaiah Thomas. And Isaiah Thomas probably should have been on the team. And they asked Michael Jordan, did he have anything to do with it? And then it actually just came out in the last year where he said, I'll play as long as Isaiah don't play. So,
and then you got to have him. If you're going overseas, you got to.
Then Kenny Smith steps in, and Kenny doesn't deal in fluff. He cuts it clean, no sugarcoating. He says straight up, Michael Jordan wasn't just a scorer. He wasn't just a guy filling highlight reels with dunks and fadeaways. He was a two-way killer, a total basketball weapon. Defense, offense, leadership, IQ. Jordan didn't just check the boxes. He carved his initials into them. Some players you could scheme for. You could build a game plan to slow down Shaq's power, to force Magic into shooting, to make LeBron take jumpers. But Jordan, there was no blueprint. You didn't game plan against him. You game planned to survive him. And even then, most nights, survival meant losing anyway. Kenny breaks it down further. Kareem had that unstoppable skyhook, a singular weapon. LeBron's got brute force and versatility, an engine that keeps running. Kobe had that assassin's mindset and footwork. But Jordan blended all of it into one body. He wasn't just elite in one lane. He was complete in every lane. Scoring titles, Defensive Player of the Year, Finals MVPs, clutch leadership, every angle of the game, locked down. And the scary part? It started early. Kenny points back to Jordan's roots at UNC under Dean Smith. Those college years weren't just about getting buckets. That's where Jordan learned the mental warfare of the game. That's where he sharpened his instincts, where he built the foundation of being not just talented, but untouchable. Kenny makes it clear that's a difference. Jordan didn't just roll into the NBA as a raw athlete who figured it out later. He came in already seasoned, already dangerous, already studying the game like a chessboard. Those years turned a high-flying kid into a predator. They built a beast no one could stop. By the time Jordan was in the league, you weren't dealing with a rookie. You were dealing with a finished product, a complete package, a storm already in motion. Kenny's verdict? You could admire other legends for what they excelled at. Kareem's dominance, LeBron's longevity, Kobe's fire. But Jordan stood alone because he had no weak side, no cracks, no blueprint. He was everything, scorer, defender, leader, and killer from day one. And that completeness, Kenny says, is why he's untouchable.
Jordan, man, like Michael Jordan was the most complete basketball player that's ever lived. Complete. Like Kareem was just as effective. Certain people could be, LeBron at times could be just as effective. But the most complete basketball player that ever lived is Michael Jordan. Complete.
Kenny doubles down, and this time he says a part most people don't want to admit out loud. Michael Jordan's game had no holes. None. You couldn't poke at his footwork. It was flawless. You couldn't expose his vision. He saw plays before they happened. Timing? Surgical. Positioning? Perfect. Every detail of the game, Jordan mastered it. And here's the kicker. It wasn't talent alone. It was hours, sweat, sacrifice, and an obsession with the details nobody else was willing to perfect. Kenny points out the little things: Jordan's jab step that froze defenders, his pump fake that sent even the best flying, the way he'd rotate his hips to seal off angles before you even realized what he was doing. His game wasn't about highlight dunks. Those were just the icing. The cake was the endless representatives, the repetition that turned mechanics into instinct. From one quarter to the next, Jordan could give you a mid-range masterclass on offense and then clamp down on your best player like a defensive clinic. He wasn't one of those guys who leaned on athleticism alone, or who was defined by a single weapon. Plenty of legends had a specialty: Shaq's power, Curry's shooting, Kareem's skyhook, LeBron's physical dominance. Jordan's specialty was that he had every specialty, and Kenny drives it home. What made Jordan terrifying wasn't just a completeness, it was a mentality layered on top of it. He played like a machine with the instinct of a predator. That killer edge fused with his total skill set turned him into something basketball had never seen before and still hasn't seen since. That's why decades later, when people stack up resumes or point to stats, Kenny just shakes his head. Stats are numbers, but completeness? That's rare air. And Jordan lived there alone.